Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning for all of those who join here tonight or this morning with us. My name is Angelica Sally. I'm the president of the Women's Federation for World Peace, USA, and I will be your host tonight. On behalf of the Global Women Peace Network, I welcome you warmly as we continue with our speaker series on the overall theme, Women's Leadership in Reconciliation and Peacemaking. And today's topic is Catalyst for Positive Change, Arts and Culture. I very much look forward to tonight's session as we also have prepared for you two special treats. So I ask you to relax, to enjoy this evening. This might be more than just a session. It might be an experience for you. So why do we bring up this topic is the question. It is because due to the relentlessness of COVID pandemics, humanity continues to face several global crises, which seem to even intensify on all levels as we speak. And as a result of that, over the last 2 years, we have seen increase in mental illness, depression, and hopelessness, as we are continuously bombarded with disturbing news of political divides, increasing tensions and upheavals between nations, climate change, hate and violence, and uncertainties of the future. The result of which is stress. It's a burden on the human spirit and soul. Would you not agree? This is where the art comes in, the culture, which can play a most pivotal role to ease the pressure, to even transform a toxic environment into a more peaceful one. So we all know about the power of a simple song that touches the heart and uplifts the spirit. In my case, when I hear too much disturbing news on the radio when I'm driving, I just switch the channel to the classic music channel, or jazz channel, whatever inspires me. And in a moment, I find myself in a different atmosphere. I'm sure you have the same experience. And also, we all know about the flash mobs. Have you heard of flash mobs? I love it. When in the middle of the day, somewhere in a mall, in a train station or library, people seemingly randomly come together, start singing in harmony, and maybe even dancing. It automatically stops everyone in their tracks. Everyone stops and listens. It's like transformed and transported to another realm in the midst of daily life. And that is what brings smiles to people's hearts and faces that look lifeless sometimes as we go through the day. So these are just two very simple pointers as to how powerful music and culture can be. And although we also see tremendous negative influences in the arts and entertainment that takes down our spirits and souls, positive and wholesome art equally has tremendous potential to uplift our hearts to the point where we might even see new opportunities and visions of ourselves and the future. Think about that. So I personally was looking very much forward to this evening, where we will be hearing from three dynamic panelists, women artists and leaders, who each in their own field of art, music, or entertainment have brought about positive change and even healing. It will be a rich evening. So before I introduce the first speaker, I'd like to briefly share with you about the Global Women Peace Network. It was inaugurated in 2012 as a project of Women's Federation for World Peace International, which is an NGO in general consultative status at the UN. We have chapters in 90 nations and 35 here in the United States. It was co-founded in 92 by Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon and her late husband, Reverend Dr. Sun Myung Moon, to announce the arrival of the era of women, indicating that in order to have world peace, women need to play a pivotal role. Would you not agree? Yes? Round of applause for that. So the Global Women Peace Network brings together NGOs, decision makers, leaders, organizations, and governments to solve pressing social ills through peace leadership based on the feminine aspect of human nature. Its founding vision is simply to work toward one global family under God and a world of lasting peace, all centering on three areas of focus. We focus on women's leadership, family, and the environment. So now it is my great pleasure to introduce to you our first speaker, Mrs. Denise Lyles Cook. Denise Lyles Cook, here she is, is known as the Oracle for her insight and caring ear. She brings to the stage a wealth of experience as a motivational speaker, published author, educator, and artist, and is well known as a healer of the heart, mind, body, and soul. Mrs. Lyles Cook is the owner-operator of Oracle Publishing, a boutique performance editing, design, and copywriting company. She will be giving an enlightening presentation on the topic of Vanishing Authenticity in Entertainment Today, the Trend. The floor is yours, Denise. Unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Sorry.
I was muted by the board, so I thought they would unmute me. I apologize, folks. I'm the trend. You TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. What are the other? I'm not even on them. Okay, but the trend moves the fashion, the music, the arts, and today's entertainment unconsciously towards 15 minutes of fame with no real connection to the heart, mind, and soul of another. The adage, there's nothing new under the sun, has never been truer today than ever before. What is missing in entertainment today, in my opinion, is the authentic nature of the art, true art, creating entertainment for heart, for the sake of bringing joy, peace, and harmony to both the voyeur and the artist. And now, as a woman, an elder, I am 63, in the entertainment arena, I have found myself urged and encouraged by others to follow the trends in order to be seen and heard, for my talent to matter. Now, my need to be my authentic self as an entertainer is on heightened alert on a regular. Consider the eroticizing that goes on in the manner of dress and delivery in entertainment today. You've seen the videos. The vocalist is singing about cars and they're half-naked girls jumping around, jumping rope. Now, I know it makes little sense, but here's the real ticket. The issue is this, that artist most likely is unaware of why it shouldn't be that way. They and their audiences, for the most part, are oblivious to the state of affairs as they stand today. They are simply following the guidance of others who speak green words, cashed out on things bling bling. They, as artists and audiences, have lost their authentic selves to the trend. So what does that mean? This loss of authenticity in entertainment crosses both bridges, both ways. You know, you cross the road, you've got both ways. And yet it does affect the female artist in ways that are the antithesis of Mother Moon's teachings in piety, values, and standards of life, and that permeate the arts and entertainment today. In July of 2017, Dr. Moon was quoted as saying that we must become sparks that light up this dark world. When we, as women, stand in roles of leadership in the entertainment industry, where what we do will inspire generations either towards or away from our authentic selves, the true selves God meant us to be, made us to be, we must recognize the monumental power of our actions. My father, Dr. Leon Elliott Lyles Sr., that man is such a treasure in my life. He taught in parables and sayings. He would hold his finger out. You know how when he said, what happened? Oh, well, I didn't do my homework because, or it's always somebody else's fault, right? Daddy would, he'd hold his fingers out and he'd point one finger forward, three back at him. And he would say, for every finger pointed, there are three back at you: responsibility, accountability, and culpability. Those you own. Now, I have mentioned the need to be my authentic self as an entertainer. What do I mean by that? What does being your authentic self mean? What does it look like? And how does it relate to the topic of vanishing authenticity in entertainment today, the trend? Well, I'm thinking we'll probably go over some of that in the Q&A. But my belief is that authenticity can refer to a variety of aesthetic, moral, or cultural traits, including credibility, originality, sincerity, naturalness, genuineness, innateness, purity, or realness. Webster's dictionary defines authenticity as in truth, genuineness. I'll read them off for you. Worthy of acceptance or belief, as conforming to or based on fact. conforming to an original so as to reproduce essential features, made or done the same way as an original, not false or imitation, real, actual, true to one's own personality, spirit, or character. It seems to me that being one's authentic self connects us directly to God, who is real, original, and actual. So what does authenticity look like in the world of entertainment? That's where I live. I'm there on a daily. Does it refer to the lyrics the singer sings, the choreography of the dancer, or the dialogue of the actor or speaker? How about what they are wearing? Do the costumes and set designs define the authentic nature of the talent presented on stage? Let's get a little deeper, past the stage, studio, or stadium. What about authentic leadership in the entertainment boardrooms where the decisions are made? In an industry dominated by men, authenticity for women like Marilyn Monroe, Doris Day, Jane Fonda, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Aretha Franklin, Bjork, Madonna, Cher, Shania Twain, Janet Jackson, Shonda Rhimes, Ava DuVernay, Beyonce, and a handful of others in the industry take on a different and particular reality. One thing they all had or have in common is their belief in the value and worth of their art, talent, leadership abilities, and the need to change the trends from exploitation to education, from male domination to equitable collaboration, from follow the leader to be the leader. In essence, defining, embracing, and living their authentic selves in a way that is evident and beneficial to and for others. So I've defined authenticity and spoken on the responsibility for women in leadership roles in the entertainment industry to guide and manipulate the trends in entertainment to mirror the ever increasing need to be authentic. To quote Angelica Sell, president of WFWP, Angelica, I remember our conversation from about a month ago, alrighty? She said, quote, that we were channeling of the divine energy toward a greater and truer representation of what it is to be female in a leadership role, and to be female in a leadership role in an industry blanketed in anything but authenticity. What would Mother Moon say? What did she have to say about this? Mother Moon said, you have to show others how to live a life of practicing true love, to be one who lives for the sake of others. I'm gonna say that again, because I think that is pivotal in any context of seeking to be authentic, that you have to show by your actions, you must show others how to live a life of practicing true love, to be one who lives for the sake of others. So what about women in leadership roles? I believe that women in leadership roles in the entertainment industry carry the torch, shining the light where there is none, bringing to light the fact that authenticity, though vanishing into a black hole of greed, exploitation, and deprivation, is in reality alive and thriving, though shrouded in the facade. They are leading with purpose, personal values, building appropriate relationships, grounded in self-discipline, and ultimately led by the heart. They are authentic leaders. So what is your role in all of this? Those of you who are here attending our seminar, our webinar today, your role is to live your own authentic lives in your everyday dealings with family, friends, co-workers, with the stranger on the street. What you bring to the table when you go to the theater, to that concert, or even to this GWPN forum on arts and culture will continue to help define what that authenticity looks like. Your input can and will help to elevate the consciousness of those in the entertainment industry, the female leadership and the dominating males, the young artists who may or may not even know what it is to be authentic as they traverse their artistic journeys, and the audiences that seemingly blindly patronize the entertainment industry. Again, when you think about it, that might include you. Dr. Maya Angelou spoke to the issue quite succinctly when she stated, authenticity is simply telling the truth to yourself and others. And as my students would say, because you know I'm a teacher, period. Now, what I'd like to say to you as the oracle is I do have a word for each and every one of you. Always remember to love yourself 24/7, 365 days of the year. Because if you don't, who will? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you. What a powerful speech. In a few minutes, ladies, we got a compelling and challenging insight into the entertainment industry and what works, what doesn't work, and what we should think, really, and where we should go. Thank you so much, Denise. It was excellent. I wish we had more time for each of you today, but we're going on now to our second speaker, Mrs. Sarah Baumgarten. She is Mrs. Sarah Baumgarten. Ms. Sarah Baumgarten is a performer, teacher, and music director. She earned her master's music and voice performance in pedagogy from the Peabody Institute, the Bachelor's of Music and Voice Performance from Penn State University. She's currently studying musical theater and teaches voice and piano. Sarah has performed at the Kimmel Center, the Meyerhoff Symphony Hall, Opera America, the Library of Congress, the Jewish Museum of Maryland, and World Cafe Live. She will be answering the question, why create music? Go ahead, Sarah.
Hello, thank you so much for having me here tonight. It's such an honor to speak. So why create music? First, I'll start by saying what attracts me to music and art. I get excited by art when I find a connection to it, something I can relate to, and something that could be a common experience with others. It could be a specific emotion. I'm comforted by the fact that I'm not alone. This connection with others in the human experience is essential to my mental health, especially as I've noticed during the pandemic, and overall happiness. And this brings me to my next point, the musicians and the shows that have inspired me to become a performer in the first place. So I'll start with what I call the trifecta. These are made up of Judy Garland, Barbra Streisand, and Julie Andrews. They are my idols ever since I was very, very young. Every time I heard any one of them sing, I was glued to watching them. I could hear every emotion that they were singing about, and my mom would always tell me to listen carefully and try to emulate them because they're the best of the best. I think she's right. And I've tried to do this. And when I got a little older, I'd always loved Broadway, but my favorite musical, which I saw when I was 14, Wicked the Musical, brought it to a whole new level. It was the first time that I could see myself in a character on stage. This was the character of Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West, and I can truly say that it changed me. I saw myself in the green girl who was so good, yet so misunderstood, and she gave me hope for myself because I saw her thrive on stage as well. And at the time, I felt a lot of things that I couldn't really articulate at the time, but I knew that it was something special. I ended up writing my college essay on Wicked and writing several theory analysis papers on the music because it touched me so much. And I can strongly say that I'm just as in love with it now, 15 times later, as the first time I saw it. I try to bring these things, these women, this show with me into my performing career. I take the things that I'm inspired by to create art that can change my audiences and students for the better, and that is an intended pun. My goal is to create a space where audiences can escape from their problems for a little while and not feel so alone. I also try to do this not just in shows or concerts, but I've also had the privilege of performing in healing services with my synagogue, where I can provide a comforting voice for those who need it, which is really fulfilling for me as well. And we all get scared, inspired, angry, hopeful, but they can be expressed in so many different ways. And one reason I create music is because it might just be my voice that can affect someone else or help them to see a new view. And this goes for any performer and takes me to why I love to teach as well, because there's so much potential in students to bring beauty to others as well. So that brings me to educating as well. I like to do solo concerts and collaborative concerts for audiences that teach about things that are important to me. One of my concerts is called No One is Alone, the Jewish Tradition on Broadway. And I think you see a theme here. I am very passionate about sharing connections with others. No One is Alone is a song from Sondheim's Into the Woods that I like to use as a theme of connecting audiences. And in this concert, I talk about how these composers are able to tell us about the other, the human experience through Broadway, through music they've composed, how they talk to us about traditions. For example, Fiddler on the Roof, a story specifically about Jews in Russia being persecuted, resonates strongly, I've read, with families in Japan because they can relate to the familial structure. I just think that's amazing, how music can connect us that way. Another concert that I have performed, actually recently, it was created with a colleague of mine and dear friend, Jocelyn Taylor, last year in the thick of the pandemic, called Finding Home, an analysis of two cultures through music, where we compared Jewish culture with African American culture through music. And part of the beautiful thing about this concert was that in the pandemic, we actually traveled to each other. She's in Maryland, I was in New Jersey at the time, to record together. For the first time, I was singing with someone in the pandemic. This was last October, and it was just so special to be performing with someone finally again. And you might see a little something from that later. Moving on to my goals as a teacher, with my students, my goal is to instill confidence, to help them find their own unique voices through song, give them their own avenue through which to express themselves in a safe space. And I'd like to point out that as singers, we have an especially vulnerable instrument. If you play a clarinet or piano, it's something physical that you're playing. If someone critiques you or says, oh, that piano's out of tune, you could tune it or get a new piano or a new clarinet. You can't get a new voice. So it's a very personal thing. And so you have to develop a very thick skin to be able to be in this industry and deal with all of that criticism with something so personal that's literally inside you. And so it's very important to me to make sure that my students feel that they are comfortable and able to express themselves in a safe space. Finally, things I've learned during the pandemic that have continued to inspire me to create, especially when it was a hard time to, was that it taught me patience, to not take anything for granted when it comes to live collaboration and performance. I started finding new ways to be creative. I directed myself in new interpretations of arias and songs. I taught and continue to teach on Zoom. I music directed 2 shows virtually for middle schoolers, so I had to figure out how to keep their attention on a computer screen. I even directed an opera scene on Zoom, and I assistant directed an opera, a virtual opera, Così fan tutte. And I have to say, I ended up making more videos in the last year and a half than I have in probably the last 5 years. So it's been a really interesting and fascinating time for me as a performer to discover more about myself, even now in my career. A very important thing that happened, I had my first live performance since the pandemic in July as Gretel in Hansel and Gretel. And the first time I could finally sing with my peers again in person was so special. And it reminded me why I do love to perform and create music, to share that energy with others and to create something with others that can only be created from this specific grouping of people. And I can't wait to do more of that, as we move forward. So in conclusion, I create music to bond with others, to make sure no one feels alone, to put something out into the world that wasn't there before, and to hopefully inspire others to do the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Well, you are surely an authentic performer, right? Learning from Denise's words. You're very authentic. And thank you for sharing your passion and how to build connection, what inspires you. It's like just listening to you and also to Denise is already an experience, wouldn't you say, audience here in the house? And I see a lot of positive comments coming in. Thank you very much. But we're not done yet. We have one more excellent speaker, and that is Miss Judy Morio. Here she is. Ms. Judy Morio has informed, inspired, challenged, motivated, and entertained audiences in 29 countries around the globe with her unique speaking style, and is one of less than 10% of the speakers in the world who has earned this prestigious Certified Speaking Professional designation from the National Speakers Association. She is the author of 24 books, including 2 international bestsellers. She is an accomplished businesswoman in South Africa and Las Vegas. In addition, she's a fine artist with her paintings appearing in galleries and private collections throughout North America, Africa, and Europe. I'd like to add that Ms. Judy is also a Her Story awardee recipient from Women's Federation for World Peace in 2019 in Las Vegas as we launched the Global Women Peace Network there. So it's our great joy to have you, Judy, and you will be speaking on how art can help us overcome toxic cultures and environments. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Angelica. It's such an honor to be among these prestigious, knowledgeable, successful women. I'm really, really delighted to be here tonight and to see so many of my good friends out there in the audience. I see Mary up there and Sarah and quite a few other people. It's so exciting to be here. We're talking about how art can help us to overcome toxic cultures and toxic environments. So first, let's just kind of define toxic cultures and toxic environments. We all know that this pandemic has been a little bit toxic for many of us. So many people are resistant to what's going on and they're so nasty and hateful. It's really hard to deal with them, with the people, as well as our own lives and the stress that's been added. In addition, we need to think about that prior to this pandemic, the research was telling us that we were hearing a minimum of 5 negative statements every hour in the average workplace. So that's pretty toxic in itself if you stop and think about it, because it takes 14 to 20 positive statements to overcome the effects of 1 negative statement. So who have we got? If we're hearing 5 an hour, that's like 40 a day. That's what, a couple hundred a week, 800 a month. And some of us live with some people who are less than positive. And so we might be having up to 1,000 negatives that we hear. And who have we got saying, you're so wonderful, you're so terrific, you're so great, you're so fantastic? Probably no one. So we need to start right here with us talking about to ourselves in a positive way. And I bring this up because I teach art, as many of you know, at the University of Nevada at Las Vegas. And many of my students are women in their 40s, 50s, 60s that come in the door and they say, I've always wanted to paint. I've always wanted to draw. But in the 2nd grade, my teacher threw my drawing in the trash. Or when I was in elementary school and it was parent-teachers night, they hung all the pictures of all the students that had drawn pictures. They hung them all on the wall, but they didn't hang mine there. And so I don't have any talent. I don't even know how to draw a stick figure. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. I can't even draw a stick figure. And I say to them, here's the deal. I may not be the best art teacher in the world, but I am the best confidence teacher. I can show you how to draw a great picture. I can teach you how to paint. And remember this, your art and my art are not the same. Whatever you paint, it's your art, it's your beauty, it's your feelings that are going down on that canvas. It's not mine. I will show you everything I can and help you be as good as you can, but it's yours. Now, I want to go back to my story because this will help you with looking at how art can help us overcome this negativity and this toxic, how do you say toxicity? Oh, well, you know what I mean, right? Well, it was about 12 years ago when I went to the doctor for my standard breast cancer scanning. I went in, for my mammogram, and the doctor said to me that day, well, it looks like we have a little problem. We're going to have to run a few more tests. And so they ran a bunch more tests. And then she said, tomorrow morning, I want you at 5:30 at the hospital. We're going to do surgery. You have breast cancer and we want to get this taken care of. Well, that was a bit negative, and it was my birthday the next day. So there I was at the hospital having nurses sing happy birthday to me, which didn't seem really fun that day. And I had this surgery, and then they ran more tests and more tests and more tests. And then one day the oncologist said to me, Judy, we have a little problem. We got the breast cancer, but the cancer has now moved through your blood. And so you have a major problem, and we have to talk about your health and radiation and chemo and where you're going to be a year from now. Because if you don't do what I tell you, you're going to be making a transition in about a year. You've only got that much time left. Well, it scared me so bad, but I didn't want to do radiation and chemo and all those things. And so I went to a naturopathic doctor up in Cedar City, Utah, and this man said to me, I want you to take art lessons. And I thought he had lost his mind. And a doctor says, you have cancer. I want you to take art lessons. I want you to take dance lessons. I want you to get into the creative world. And I said, I can't do that. I think you're crazy. I can't do that. And he said, well, that's what you have to do. So I went off to the art gallery and asked if they had an art teacher, waiting for the art teacher to say, you have no talent, go away. And the art teacher said, draw this. And I did. And he said, well, you look like you've got a little talent. Sit down here. We're going to get you into the art world. So I sat down there with that art teacher, and I was in an all-male class. Can you believe that? There's 5 men and me and a male art teacher, and they don't talk. Now, I don't know how many art classes you've been to, but women talk. We paint and we talk and we chatter, and it's so positive and it's so healing. It's cool. But if you're in a class with all male artists, they don't talk. They just sit there and paint. That's what they do. And so I sat in the quiet 3 hours, several times a week, just painting these pictures. Well, it turns out that my doctor said, I sent you there because you needed to be quiet for 3 hours at a time. You needed to meditate. You needed to do something. And I'd never drawn anything in my life. I didn't know how to do anything like this. And so there I was learning how to paint. And I found that I loved it. And I found that I had talent. And I found that, people loved my artwork and people started buying it. And then it just went from there to crazy. So when I talk about art with people, I talk from here that it was something I didn't think I could do, and I learned to do it. And now I can teach other people. If you don't think you can do it, you have to try it, because art is such a wonderful thing. Art helps us with so many things besides just painting pictures. It helps us be more creative. It helps us have more confidence. It helps us solve problems. It helps us persevere. It helps us focus. It helps us collaborate. It helps us figure out how to solve problems. It helps us to see better, because when we look at a picture or an article or an animal, and we say, okay, now I'm going to draw that, and then I'm going to paint it. We have to look at the shapes. We have to really, really look at it. We have to study it. We have to be quiet. And then we put it down on the canvas. And in the quiet of sitting there, putting it on the canvas, it starts to develop. And I paint mainly wildlife. And so when I paint my little animals, I always paint their eyes first because I want them to look at me while we're working. And their little personalities start coming through and we start loving each other. I love the animal, it loves me, and we get it. And I just keep working and working, and I put every hair on individually, and there it is. And then I feel better. And then I learned so many more things as I really started thinking about art, because I'd never thought about art before. I always wanted to be a writer. I didn't want to be an artist. And so I learned that art teaches us to use our imagination. It helps us to look at the world in a totally different way. It helps us look at other people in a different way. And now that I've been teaching, it helps us learn patience. It's amazing. The patience I've had to learn in dealing with other people. It helps us learn to manipulate things. It helps us learn to influence. It helps us learn to entertain. It helps us learn to educate. I mean, I just love art so much that I just want everybody to come in and take art classes, because when I think of what it's done for my life and how it's helped me understand the world, and that it's a whole way of communicating. Do you know, sometimes we can't communicate with people from another culture because their language is different than ours. But if we draw pictures, we can communicate, because everybody draws pictures the same way. Pictures mean the same thing in all these different languages. So even though we don't know the word for it, the picture will tell us about history. It'll tell us about the culture. I mean, it even tells us, go back to the caveman and look at what they did on the walls. You know, it even tells us their story. And so art is such an incredible thing. I just can't encourage you enough to get involved in it, because it's fascinating. And I just really feel it's love. And one of the things that I feel about it is, when someone comes in and they criticize their own artwork, they do artwork and they keep criticizing it. And I see how good they are and they keep criticizing it. I know that they're hurting with the self-love. I know that there's negativity inside of there about themselves. And if I can get them to start to appreciate their art, I know they'll start to appreciate who they are as well. And that's the thing I want you to do. I want you to get involved in it, because you can do it. I know you can do it. You're more than enough.
Well, thank you, Judy. What a powerful story and insight into the art. I think we're all sold on art now. Let's give our amazing speakers a round of applause. I really feel, ladies, that you have given us the nuggets of wisdom of your many, many years of experience, right? In a nutshell. So first of all, kudos to that, to take those few minutes and pack it full of incredible knowledge and inspiration. So now we have the chance to get questions from the audience. I have a few here, which I'm going to pose to you. Can we have everyone back on the screen, please? All right. So this question here is to Denise. For Denise, how can we inspire new content for music and film? Denise. We need to unmute yourself again.
And I'm on Zoom every day with my students. I should know better. But my answer to that is that we simply have to ask for it. Sometimes our audience doesn't know what our needs are and what our requirements are. And I gave an explanation. I did answer that in the chat, and I'm going to give that explanation aloud here. Vice President Kamala Harris, when I think she was 13, 14 years of age, she saw, I think it was a soap commercial. I can't remember the name of the company or whatever. And she thought it was very misogynistic, sexist, and one-sided. You know, it didn't paint a very positive and strong vision of the female. So she contacted, not the media, she contacted the company whose product was being sold in this commercial and pled her case and said, hey, you got to do better. And guess what? They recut that commercial and they took the old one off and put the new one in, which was more inclusionary, more inclusive to the idea, you know, getting out of the misogyny and sexism and more into, as I say, equitable representation. Okay. Wow. So it's simply by asking for what we want, you know, and declining or deleting and not paying attention to what we don't want. Because if you don't have an audience, you don't have a show. Am I right, Sarah? You know, oh yeah, they say even if there's one person, you're supposed to perform to that one person, but that's a hard show to do, babe. It's so much, so much better when you can have others and bring others along with you. So my statement, my answer to that, short and sweet, and it wasn't short and sweet, is simply ask for it and be committed to that ask.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's a simple, clear answer. We all can do it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's ask. Here's another question. There's a request to hear a story from both Denise and Judy. What encouraged or influenced you to your passion? Judy, maybe? But, I mean, of course, we know it's your illness, right?
Well, the illness is what, pushed me into it. The encouragement came from a couple of incredibly good instructors. My first instructor was very well educated in the arts. He had a very high level education, and he was very, very encouraging and got me through. My second instructor made an artist out of me because he was a bully. He had self-trained, and he wanted to make sure that you just did the best that you could. And there was one day that he even yanked me up by the arm and took me outside and said, "You look at that tree. Do you see the bark on that tree?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "Does your bark look like that bark?" I said, "No." He said, "Then you stand here and look at that tree until you see the bark right, and you come in and paint it." So I think having different instructors and with different perspectives, but they were all encouraging. That I look back at my original pictures that were really pretty bad, and at the time they framed them and hung them on the wall, and that was really encouraging. But now I wouldn't hang those up and show them to anybody except my students. I show them to my students to say, "This is how bad I was in the beginning. Now you can be this good, if not better."
All right.
Well, for me, there were many inspirations and motivations. But the main number one, my sister, Bessie Maria Lyles, she had muscular dystrophy and cerebral palsy. Now, if she had only had cerebral palsy, she'd be alive today, because there you can retrain unused portions of the brain to take over the lost abilities, you know, because cerebral palsy is generally a brain damage issue. Okay, but she had muscular dystrophy, which initially, the last muscle to go is the heart, you know, because it's a heart, it's a muscle. But I was 8 years old, and I ran into her bedroom. She shared the big room with the master bedroom with my parents, and she lived her life in a hospital bed. She never walked a day in her life. When she was younger, she could ride a bicycle with a brace on, but that was over for her by the time she was 9 or 10 years old. She was bedridden. And I remember running into the bedroom and crying, just boohoo crying, because my own brothers and sisters and close family, they were calling me Hunky, Casper, Whitey, and I'm of mixed race. All righty. And you know that movie, White Boys Can't Jump? Well, this white girl could not dance. I had, like you said, you could not draw, you not even a stick figure. I was all over the place. All righty. My sister told me to shut my mouth in no uncertain terms. She had a way of, if she liked you, she cursed you. Okay. So I in one of the pieces that I've written, it says, "Shut the buck up, bitch." Now you get the idea. Anyway, she had me go get the record player. We had a record player that was battery operated, and she sat on her body like this, lower portion, upper portion, but she could feed herself, and she could lift that spindle, and she would lift it, put it on the record, and it would start spinning. And she told me, "Hold the doorknob. Now snap your fingers, bend your knees. Don't dance fast to slow music. Don't dance slow to fast music. Don't dance happy to sad music. Don't dance sad to happy music." My sister, who never walked a day in her life, let alone dance, taught me how to listen to music, how to feel the music, and then how to believe in the expression that came from me, and not worry and care that I didn't dance like everybody else, because I had my own dance. I had my own inner dance. And she encouraged that. I decided by the time I was in 4th grade to be a dancer, to be a teacher and to teach dance. I have a degree in dance from UCLA, my teaching credential from UCLA, my master's in fine arts from the Graduate School of UCLA, my master's in education from National University, and I am today still a teacher since 1982. Not dance anymore because I'm virtual, but I followed my passion because it was in honor of her. She never gave up on me. She didn't call me those nasty names. She encouraged me.
Oh my goodness, round of applause.
Yeah.
This shows you how you don't have to believe in any negativity or any odds or blocks, right? You
Yes.
just ignore them and to push through, and you do it anyway. So thank you for sharing these powerful stories. I saw that Sarah also had a little bit more to say about her passion and what brought her to be a musician outside of her own interest, right? You want to share about that? I saw you put in the chat.
Sure. So what inspired me, right? So along the way, again, my parents, as I wrote in the chat, my parents have been very supportive of my career thus far. I'm very lucky. But also it's been the people in the industry who have really kept me going and kept me afloat. It started with my middle school music director, Mr. Walton. He was the first person who actually, you know, like when I was insecure, he would say, "No, you're actually really good. You should do this." And that, as a 13-year-old, that means a lot. And he gave me opportunities like making audition recordings for the girls a cappella group, and just made me feel very special that way. And my first voice teacher, Linda Krupa, she has since passed away, but she was the first person who opened me up to the career and what it takes and how to pursue something like this. And it's also been my colleagues and peers. You know, if I get a compliment from a friend who sings, who is in this industry, that means the world to me, because I know it's so hard. And to have someone who's been through the same things that you've been through appreciate what you're doing, it means so much. So I'd have to say that's what keeps me going, especially in such a difficult industry, because there is a lot of toxicity and there's a lot of rejection. I know people have heard this, but it's for every, like, you get one yes and like maybe, if you're lucky, 1,000 no's. It's very, very competitive. So yeah.
I can feel that. You know, my brother is an opera singer, and the way what he had to go through is similar to that. And it really takes confident teachers, like you said, Judy, right? We need to be confident teachers to each other, right? Or even to ourselves.
Yeah.
Like you said, Denise, right? We're learning a lot of lessons here, how to empower, not give up, and go forward. So here's one more question to Denise. How to get away from the trend when everything points that direction, if you don't have the know-how to be yourself and courage to be different? How do you actually deal with that?
I can tell you the only thing that has worked for me, my music producer, the late Keg Johnson Jr., used to always say, every time you say no, your price goes up. Know
Wow.
your worth and know your value. I've turned down, we call them gigs, right, Sarah? I've turned down gigs because all money isn't good money.
No.
And I know that's why when I spoke on about the authenticity and entertainment, that our young artists, some of them don't even know what it is to be authentic. They don't realize that they don't have to say yes. They have other alternatives. And so how do you get away from the trend? A person like myself must be a mentor. I must step outside of myself and say, hey, you know, when I see a young person, especially if I'm in a position like we're sharing the stage, or I'm in a proximity of their parameter, hey, and I tell them, can I be your auntie today? That's how I get to young people, because they know it all. All right, you can't tell him nothing. And what have you done for me lately? You just a teacher. You ain't doing nothing now. Excuse my the language, but
Right.
that's how they talk. Okay.
That'd be
And I
real.
simply say, baby, let me be your auntie. Because when they think of their big mama or their auntie, their favorite auntie, they don't think of the accolades. They just know that they've been here for a long time and they've got some insight and some wisdom. And so that's how I help the young folks get away from the trend. I pull their coattails. I ask to be let in, and then I share my life experiences with them. I let them know it's a hard role to play. You might get a little bling bling right now, but turn that corner, things happen. So be able to stand on your own 2 feet. So that's how you get away, simply by having someone, a supportive mentor or something, or for me personally, as I say no. I had to learn how to say no.
Yes.
That is precious advice. I wish a lot of people will do that, right? So thank you so much, ladies. The time is up for question and answers. I know there is more, so please feel free to put your questions in the chat or email the ladies. They were kind enough to give the emails, right? And just to bring closure to this session, to this section of the evening, I'd like to ask each of you to give just a 1-minute statement, if you would. Okay, I'm going to start with Judy, going backwards.
Never let someone else influence your belief in yourself.
Excellent. Sarah?
I definitely agree with that, Judy. And just, try not to judge yourself too harshly. Just kind of appreciate the beautiful things and be inspired by what's around you. Try to block out the negative as much as you can and just keep your goals intact, because if you try hard enough, they will happen.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Embrace your authentic self. And my tagline will always be, always remember to love yourself 24/7, 365. Because if you don't, who will?
On that note, ladies, let's give you a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From everyone here, and for those who will see this video later. I have the feeling this should go viral, this video. That's my opinion, okay?
Miss Angelica, may I have one quick shout out to Mary Hilda. She and I traveled to South Korea to sing behind Mother Moon. And hi, Hilda. Hi, Mary. Okay.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. We'll have all of you perform, not tonight.
Oh, no, I know. I just wanted to say hi. We were roommates.
Yes. So we do have a special treat. It was indicated earlier by Sarah. And maybe she would like to share a little bit about that performance we will see from Sarah. It's a video recording, a 5-minute video recording. Want to say something about it?
Sure. So as I mentioned in talking earlier, I had a program called Finding Home, an analysis of 2 cultures through music, in which I had the opportunity and privilege of working with my good friend Jocelyn Taylor, fellow soprano, on putting this together. And this performance that you're going to see is the first time I was actually able to sing with someone since the pandemic. We wore masks every other time except for in this video, and we didn't touch each other. We were very COVID mindful, but at the end of this video, we both felt like we wanted to reach out to each other and touch each other and hug each other. And it's a very special song for me. And if you know the piece, you'll hearken back to what I was saying about my favorite musical as well. So I hope you enjoy this next video.
Thank you.
Sky bird, and a distant one.
Whoa, amazing. What power.
That
I
was
feel like I'm
beautiful.
washed over.
Thank you.
And joy and synergy between two cultures, right? Song goes beyond words. It just
Yes.
ties us together. It brings tears to my heart, actually. So thank you.
I
Thank
saw Wicked in New York.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
you.
So this is we charge at the end. We
Brava,
all charge money. By the way, we didn't tell you before,
brava,
but we're going to charge
brava.
for this one. So, okay. Now we will, if you're ready, we would like to introduce to you Global Friends Initiative, which is a part of the Global Women Peace Network, which is precious to us. You find it on our website. And to give us a brief explanation, I'll be calling on our National Outreach Director, Mrs. Kiyomi Schmidt. She's here with us, and she'll prepare a brief video for you and then explain what is the Global Friend feature. What is it all about?
Okay. Hi everybody. I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint. Here we go. So I could definitely appreciate the music in that video just now a little bit more after today's presentation. So I hope you did as well and learned a little bit. I'm just going to be sharing a little bit more. So this is our Global Friends, and this is a platform for us to highlight different organizations that are contributing to an aspect of peace. For example, you can organizations that serve different countries in need or focus on cultural understanding, unlocking our own personal potential, or investing in our next generation, strengthening family relationships, and much more. So we hope that our stamp of approval for these various organizations will give you even more reason to check them out, connect with them and with a broader network, and lend them your support. So those who sign up as a global friend would agree to these peace tenets you see on the screen. So that might include topics that have come up today, such as affirming the value of women, creating a culture of heart, which we're all contributing to at this moment together, and doing our part to collaborate in the name of peace. So those who, if you have an organization or connected to an organization, we'd love to have you apply. The benefits include promotion at events like these as part of the Global Women's Peace Network programming, as well as a landing page about your work on our website, which you saw a preview of in that video. So this is the link where you can find out more and apply and take a look at the current Global Friends, and wfwp.us/globalfriends. We'll be sure to send this to you after the program as well, so you can take a closer look. So that is it from the Global Friends. Back to you, Angelica.
Thank you very much, Kiyomi. Well done, well done. And so now we have a special surprise. Please don't leave quite yet. There's two more surprises here. So the next one coming up, that we actually give away 3 special books of our founder, the Mother of Peace memoir. Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon is known as the Mother of Peace, as the one woman peace leader of our time, bringing peace around the world. And so we are giving 3 copies away. But before we do that, I'd like to call on a young woman leader, our Global Women Peace Network Regional Coordinator here in the Southeast region, Mrs. Natasha Phillips. She's also a mother of a young baby girl, by the way. And she'll tell us briefly what she likes about the book. Go ahead.
Thank you, everybody. I really enjoyed being a part of this program and all the amazing speakers tonight. This is the book I'm going to be talking about, The Mother of Peace. And it's written by a woman that is really close to my heart, Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon, the founder of Women's Federation for World Peace. And I first read this book before I became a mom, but now that I've read it again, I have a 6-month-old baby. I feel like I've approached it with new eyes. So I chose a passage here that spoke to me, especially right now in my journey as a parent. And thinking on it now, I feel it's also very relevant to what we talked about tonight, because the speakers talked about following their hearts, right? Pursuing their passions in the arts and making life more beautiful and worthwhile for all of us. So I'm just going to be reading a few sentences from the 9th chapter. You did not bring yourself into the world. Your life is a gift from God. His will for us is that we make our lives beautiful and worthwhile. When we believe in our hearts that we are here for our children and family, for our spouse, as well as for all humanity and the entire world, we will find happiness. In all of this, your heart is your closest teacher. In the face of difficulty or confusion, ask your heart. Your heavenly parent who loves you resides deep in your heart. We are designed to hear God's true voice. Right. So that's the section I want to read. I believe that God has given each of us unique talents and abilities, right? And he has placed his trust in us as women to be mothers, right? To nurture and raise our children and love them. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of times that I doubt myself as a new mom. There's many things I don't know, right? I didn't spend much time around babies prior to having my own. So there's been a lot of questioning, a lot of self-doubt, about decisions that I've been making. So in times like that, when I just feel that, I'm doing everything wrong and I'm going to ruin my child, reading something like this really comforts my heart. It's like in times of difficulty or confusion, just trust my own heart, right? Trust in God and pray, and I will get the answer, right? Because the answer is within my own heart. And that's just the message that I want to leave all of you with tonight. Whatever your dreams and passions are, please continue to follow them and trust in your own heart, and read this book. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Natasha. Well done. Yeah, it's a beautiful passage you chose. I saw it in the text box here. And we'd like you to take an opportunity to read about Mother Moon's it's a bestseller in Korea, by the way. And it's also on Amazon available. But here we go, ladies. What does it take to get a book for free? So the first 3 persons who put into the chat box a phrase which I will announce will receive the book. One disclaimer, it can only be those who live in the United States. And after you've done that, we will contact you, the winners, via email. So here it goes. The phrase is, drum roll, be authentic. Here is Mother Moon. She is mother of 14, by the way, just to let you know, mother of 14. And it's all about living authentically. Actually, in her book, when you read that book, you see everything that was said today is in that book as well, and much more. So I believe we have 3 winners. Yes, I don't know from the staff. Do we have 3 winners here? Yes, we will contact you afterwards. Congratulations. This is a book to be read not only once, just it's like a dictionary for life, because this woman has overcome the most incredible odds that anyone can even imagine. She's going strong to this day to bring love and joy and peace to all, and to be true, not only to herself, but to the God within, and to our Creator. To then introduce also Katerina Connery, our Vice President. She was behind the camera, and also Mrs. Johanna Rothstein, our administrator, national administrator. So ladies, this concludes the evening, more or less. There's one more surprise, like I said. I just want to take this opportunity to thank one more time our esteemed, amazing, powerful speakers who really gifted us tonight with many internal and external gifts for our lives and strengthened us. I hope we come out empowered to be able to deal with toxic environments now. Yes, do I get a yes here? That we got empowered. we are floating a little bit. And so we thank you also as the audience to participate, and your comments. All these comments are recorded, by the way. I was not able to read them all, but they're really encouraging and powerful. So we really thank you for participating tonight. And so here we go with the last performance. It's a solo. It's called a YOLO. And it's a bonus performance video of a young woman artist from New Jersey, about 5 minutes long. And her name is Michaela McLean. She's the winner of the 2013 Best Indie Act at the New Jersey Acoustic Music Awards, is a critically acclaimed folk soul singer and songwriter. Growing up in a musical family and the youngest of 6 singing sisters, Michaela performed widely in choirs, concerts, and special events throughout her young life, and in 2011 began writing and performing her own music. Michaela has performed over 200 live concerts with her band and in intimate solo engagements. So ladies, let's roll the cameras. Enjoy Michaela McLean. And after that, if you'd like to stick around, the program will be over, but if you stick around, I'll be around another 15 minutes. All right, let's roll the cameras.
Taking a chance, making a change, life's little choices. I always been scared to try something new, but you only live once, so damn it's so true. And I'm not saying that I'm scared no more. Ready to open every new door, open the blinds and let the light shine. Living for joy inside my heart. Taking a risk, being so brave. You only live once, don't be afraid. Singing, whoa, 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 whoa.
off on a high note, literally a high note. So ladies, thank you again. I cannot thank you enough, especially our speakers, our comments. I know there's so much more to share. I hope we continue the conversation about art, encourage one another. We can be authentic in everything we do. Even writing a letter can be art, right? If you're authentic, you write who you are, or you do what you are. Anything, even cooking, can be an art, right? I want to expand it a little bit here. But I'm also grateful we learned about the entertainment industry and the challenges individually, like from Sarah, you know, what you're dealing with as an artist. We want to really encourage the good artists, right, to stay strong and be in the midst of like an upstream. You're going against the stream of this current culture. So we're with you here in the Women's Federation for World Peace. Peace is our objective, peace with God and with one another. So yes, stay encouraged, and thank you for your great contributions. Also, Judy, you have a laundry list of why we should get involved in art. So we're going to try to draw some stick people, right? Just see how it goes, right? Dare to shine, dare to be yourself, and don't let anybody discourage you. Important for women. So again, thank you so very much. And with that, I just want to say goodbye officially.